What if the most powerful spiritual training ground isn't found in temples or mountains, but every single night inside your dreams?
Have you ever really stopped to think about how much of your life is spent asleep? I mean, it's about a third of our entire existence. We often just dismiss it, right? Like it's just a blank time, unconsciousness. But what if that's completely missing the point? What if sleep isn't blank at all, but actually this incredibly profound kind of secret training ground for our minds? Today, we're doing a deep dive into a pretty revolutionary idea. Why do so many ancient masters, spiritual traditions, even the Buddha's own teachings, link enlightenment so directly to dreams? And how can the wisdom of the bodhisattvas show us that real spiritual practice goes way beyond just our waking hours? How can it offer this path to inner transformation, liberation, that's basically been hiding in plain sight? Our mission today is to explore this amazing, often overlooked secret, how your own dream state, the way you enter every night, can become a powerful, direct path to profound inner change.
It's an idea that, yeah, at first glance, it sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it? But what we found in the source material is really striking. They claim the potential is just immense. Mastering dream practice, they say, can bring benefits that surpass even a decade of traditional waking spiritual effort.
Wow, okay, a decade. That's a really bold claim. Why? Why is it supposedly so efficient?
Well, it's not just hype. Think about it for a second. In our waking lives, our minds are constantly, bombarded, external distractions, sights, sounds, work, other people. We're often just fighting to quiet all that noise down before we can even begin to practice properly. But in dreams, a lot of that external static is just gone, stripped away. The mind's operating closer to its raw state, its unconditioned state. So the dream realm becomes this remarkably direct pipeline straight to the root of our consciousness. And changes made there, they can happen with astonishing speed and depth.
So it's like we're bypassing all the usual mental traffic jams and going straight to the source code almost. That's fascinating. And our sources lay out three key practices, right? Three essential steps that, if you master them in your dreams, can lead to this huge leap in your spiritual journey. Let's start with the first one. Let's illuminate that first step. Okay, let's unpack this first concept, dream awareness. In Chinese, it's Meng Zhong Yueze. At its core, it's actually quite simple yet profound. It's the act of realizing I am dreaming while you're still in the dream. Just imagine that moment. The instant that thought pops up, your whole experience just shifts, doesn't it? You go from being an actor, totally caught up in the dream story, to becoming an observer, someone watching with this sudden, startling clarity.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here, what the texts emphasize, is that this isn't just some cool lucid dreaming trick. It's not just a party piece. It's described as the very first step to actually piercing through ignorance, to lighting up that whole cycle of conditioned existence samsara. Think about a common dream, like you mentioned earlier, being chased by a terrifying tiger. Before you have that awareness, you're genuinely scared, right? Your heart's pounding, you feel the terror, but with awareness, you suddenly get it, oh wait, this tiger, it isn't actually real. It's not an external threat. It's a manifestation, a projection of my own inner fear. Or maybe you dream you find a hoard of gold and you're ecstatic. With awareness, you see instantly, this is just my waking desire, my attachment projected here.
So it's not just thinking this is a dream. It's a direct, undeniable knowing of it, like in your bones.
Exactly. That's the key. This is your first really direct, profound, undeniable experience that all phenomena are mind-made. Wan Fi Wei Xin Zhao. It's such a core Buddhist principle, isn't it? That everything we experience, all realities, they arise from the mind. But reading it is one thing. In a dream where you suddenly know it, you feel the truth of it, that visceral understanding, that's what really starts to unravel the illusion. It pierces the veil of ignorance. It's like discovering a fundamental law of the universe right there in the laboratory of your own sleeping mind.
That's incredible revelation, really. But, okay, for a lot of us, even if we intellectually get mind-made, that dream tiger still feels terrifyingly real in the moment.
Yeah.
How do we bridge that gap? How do we go from just understanding the concept to having that aha moment you're describing? How do we actually cultivate this ability?
It really comes down to consistent but subtle training. The sources point to two main methods. The most fundamental one, the most powerful, they say, is making a pre-sleep vow. Before you drift off each night, you make a sincere, really heartfelt vow. You ask for the grace, the ability to maintain clear awareness in your dreams, to not get swept away by the illusions. And this isn't just, a casual wish. It's about planting a powerful seed deep within your subconscious mind, a seed that the teachings promise will eventually sprout.
A seed in the subconscious. I like that metaphor. It's about setting a deep intention. Okay, What's the second method? The second approach involves bringing the practice into your waking life through daytime reality checks. So several times a day, you consciously pause whatever you're doing, just stop for a second, and ask yourself, am I awake right now or am I dreaming? Then you do a small reality check. Maybe look closely at the lines on your palm. Are they clear, stable? Or gently pinch yourself. Do you feel it? It sounds simple, maybe even a bit silly, but this habit actively trains your mind's alertness, its ability to discriminate. And when that habit gets strong enough during the day, it starts to naturally carry over into your dream state. So one night, maybe you're flying, or you see someone who passed away years ago, and that ingrained habit just kicks in automatically. Bang. Instant dream awareness.
There's a beautiful Zen koan that illustrates this perfectly. It's about a young novice monk. He kept having this recurring nightmare. He'd be lost in this thick, dense fog, completely disoriented, and pursued by these howling wolves. He'd be absolutely terrified, running frantically, finding no way out, total despair. But then, just as he was about to give up, he'd hear it faintly at first, the distant, resonant sound of a bell from the monastery. And that sound, like a lifeline, it would pierce the fog. He'd follow it and eventually find his way back to safety within the dream. He told his Zen master about this nightmare. The master asked him something interesting. He said, "In your dream terror, did you ever remember that you are a Shu Xingren, a spiritual practitioner?" The monk admitted no, he hadn't. Then the master asked what he felt when he heard the bell. The monk said, "It was like hearing the Buddha's voice, instant calm." And the Zen master smiled. "The fog," he explained, "is your mind's defilements, your confusion. The bell is your awareness. If you can hear that inner bell in your dream, that is the moment of awakening within the dream." So from that day on, the novice took this insight to heart. In his waking life, whenever a worry arose, he saw it as the fog. And every time he recited the Buddha name, the Fo Hao, or even just took a conscious breath, he saw that as ringing the bell, waking himself up. And gradually, the story goes, he didn't just hear the bell in his dreams anymore. Eventually, he learned to consciously ring that inner bell himself, dissolving the fear, dissolving the confusion.
What a powerful story. It really shows how potent just that first flicker of awareness can be, doesn't it? It's the start of turning the mundane into something sacred. An invitation, really, to dive into the deepest exploration of your own mind. But as fascinating as just becoming aware is, the journey doesn't end there. Once you start having those moments of clarity, a whole new, deeper layer of practice opens up. Right? So once you can occasionally get that dream awareness, this deeper level appears. And you might be tempted to think, okay, it's just a dream. It's all illusion. Does it really matter what I do in here? Maybe I can finally tell off my boss or indulge some fantasy. But the teachings we looked at strongly challenge that idea.
Yeah, you'd really be missing a huge opportunity, an incredible chance to accumulate, well, genuine merit, if you thought that way. The Sattharma Smechipassana Sutra, it's an ancient Buddhist text, really deep on mental cultivation, and karma makes this point very clearly. It clarifies that your thoughts in a dream, whether they're wholesome or unwholesome, good or bad, they are real in terms of their impact. They create karma. Your physical body might be asleep, totally resting, but your mind is genuinely experiencing things, making choices, planting seeds. So a dream filled with hatred, it plants a real seed of aversion in your consciousness. It strengthens that habit. But a dream where you practice compassion, that waters the flower of compassion within you. So the second crucial step in dream practice, right after gaining awareness, is to actively practice compassion, to actually walk the bodhisattva path within your dreams.
Okay, so it's not just about observing the illusion. It's about consciously choosing virtuous actions within that illusion. That really is a game changer. How do we do that? How do we actively practice this bodhisattva path, cultivate compassion when we're dreaming? What are the practical tools?
The sources give some pretty clear guidance here. First off, learn to transform adversity. Let's say you dream you're having a big argument, maybe with a colleague who's insulting you. Instead of getting angry, fighting back like you might instinctively do, you consciously choose forgiveness. Right there in the dream. You can mentally wish them well, wish them freedom from suffering, maybe even visualize bowing to them. And what often happens next is, well, astonishing. Your dream opponent might suddenly become friendly or just vanish, poof. It shows you the immediate, powerful effect your shift in intention has on your own mental landscape.
Wow, that's like instant feedback from the dream state itself. So the dream really does mirror our inner choices. Second point. Face your fears. If you're being chased by monsters, demons, whatever, which, as we said, are usually just manifestations of your own inner fears, stop running. Once you have that awareness, stop. Turn around. Face the scary thing. And mentally declare something like, I know what you are. You're my fear. I'm not afraid anymore. We're the Dharma and find peace. You're transforming that panic energy, that fleeing energy, into compassionate aspiration. You're literally conquering your inner demons. And the sources say this builds real courage and stability that carries over into your waking life too. And the third practice, generosity, the sheep. If you see suffering beings in your dream, maybe people who are poor, hungry, lost, and you're aware you're dreaming, don't hold back. Give to them. Even if you feel like you have nothing in the dream, it doesn't matter. Visualize. Visualize giving them endless food, clothes, money, whatever they need. Because the teaching is key here. In the Dharma realm, intention is reality.
Exactly. This act breaks down your own habits of stinginess, of grasping, and it accumulates incredibly pure merit, planting these really beneficial seeds in your mind stream. And this isn't just theoretical. The effects are described as truly profound. There's an account we came across about a revered master. When he was younger, he had this dream where he found himself in a terribly cold, dark place. It was filled with these countless wailing beings, just shadows he couldn't quite see. His first reaction was fear, naturally. He wanted to run. But then he remembered. He remembered he was a Buddhist practitioner, and instantly he realized, I'm dreaming. So he stopped. Right there in the middle of this bleak dreamscape, he sat down cross-legged, and he began to recite the Heart Sutra, specifically invoking Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva of compassion, chanting Guanzi Zai Pu Sa for all those suffering beings. And as he just uttered the first line, he said he felt the entire dream realm shift. The terrible wailing started to fade. When he finished reciting the sutra and dedicated the merit, he saw countless little points of light rise up out of the darkness. The whole dream space became warm, bright, peaceful. When he woke up, he felt this incredible sense of purity and joy, a clarity, he said, that honestly surpassed days and days of his regular waking meditation practice. It's a vivid story, isn't it? It shows just how incredibly efficient dream practice can be for purifying karma, because you're working directly at the root of consciousness, bypassing so many of the distractions we face when we're awake.
That's truly remarkable, purifying karma at that kind of accelerated rate. So what does this mean for you listening right now? This isn't just about having interesting dreams. It's about purifying your heart, your mind at its absolute deepest level, and potentially doing it much more effectively than many of our waking efforts allow. It really sounds like a profound shortcut, transforming not just your sleep, but your whole being. Okay, so we've covered awareness, then practicing compassion within the dream. What's the next step? Where does it lead? After developing that awareness and starting to practice compassion in dreams, you reach what the texts describe as the highest stage, non-attachment. And this connects directly to the ultimate goal of liberation, doesn't it? Realizing emptiness. Kongqing is that the teachings actually highlight dreams as like the perfect classroom for this wisdom. Unassailable, they call it.
Precisely. Think about that famous line from the Diamond Sutra. All conditioned phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow, like dew or a flash of lightning. Thus, they should be regarded. Now, we might read that verse, recite it maybe 1,000 times in our waking life. We might intellectually agree with it. But in a dream, when you have full awareness, you have the chance for a direct, undeniable, profound experience of that truth. You truly see and feel that everything you're experiencing, the sights, the sounds, the feelings, it's all without inherent lasting substance. It's fleeting, like a mirage.
Okay, so it's going beyond just realizing this is a dream and extending that insight to everything within the dream, including your own actions, even the compassionate ones.
Yeah.
How do you actually practice non-attachment in the dreamscape then?
Right. So once you have dream awareness, you take it a step further. It's not just realizing the dream is illusory. It's realizing that even the I who is practicing compassion, the I who is subduing demons, that I is also part of the illusion. It lacks inherent existence. So this means you practice not clinging to pleasure when pleasant things arise in the dream and not reacting with fear or aversion when difficult things appear.
How does that look practically? Dream scenarios can be wild, right? Magnificent palaces one minute, terrifying hellscapes the next. So your job becomes consciously telling yourself, this is just a dream, it's not real, nothing here to cling to, nothing here to fear. You observe it all, almost like watching a movie. You don't get sucked into the drama. And as you practice this, you build this incredible mental stillness. You start to realize that the awareness itself, that clear, observing mind, it remains unshaken. It's untouched by whatever happens in the dream. That becomes your anchor, your true master. And then you learn to let go of the doer and the done. Even when you're doing good things, like practicing compassion in the dream, you avoid clinging to the thought, look at me, I am doing good deeds, I am accumulating merit.
Exactly. The highest form of practice here is what's called giving without a giver, a receiver, or a gift. In Sanskrit, it's referred to conceptually, but in Chinese, it's sanlin tinkong. The emptiness of the three wheels, the actor, the action, the object. Imagine like donating anonymously in waking life. You don't even think of yourself as the giver. You don't see the recipient as totally separate or the gift as something you own and are giving away. It becomes just a pure, spontaneous act of compassion, like the sun shining on everyone without thinking it's doing someone a favor. You do good, naturally, spontaneously, and then you just let it go. No trace, no self-congratulation.
That's a really profound level of detachment. And finally, the texts say, when you reach the stage of non-attachment, you really become the master of the dream. You can play with it, change the scenery at will, walk through walls, create things out of thin air. But the point isn't just wish fulfillment, right? It's not about indulging fantasies.
No, not at all. The purpose is much deeper. It's to gain this unshakable experiential understanding that all these manifestations, everything you perceive, are purely mind-made. They're inherently empty. No real coming, no real going. You become like a playful scientist in the laboratory of your mind, proving to yourself again and again the true nature of reality, proving that the external world holds no ultimate power over your awakened awareness. There's another famous Zen koan that captures this beautifully. An old, respected Zen master kept dreaming he was trapped outside this magnificent, enormous golden Buddha hall. The doors were huge, imposing, and firmly shut. He tried everything in the dream, knocking, shouting, pushing, desperate to get inside. His heart is just filled with this frantic anxiety, this intense yearning to enter the sacred space. Then suddenly Guanyin Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattva of compassion, appeared in his dream. And she told him, very gently, the door isn't out here. The door is in your heart. The more you cling to wanting to enter, the more you grasp at it, the firmer that door will stay shut. When you let go of the thought of entering, when you release the wanting, the door will open by itself. Hearing this, the master had this profound realization right there in the dream. He instantly let go. He dropped all the striving, all the anxiety, all the yearning. He just stood there peacefully outside the hall, completely present, completely letting go of the desire to be anywhere else. And in that very instant, as his mind released all clinging, those immense golden gates just silently, effortlessly swung open. He woke up apparently with tears streaming down his face. He finally understood. True practice isn't about grasping for some external Buddha realm or state. It's about letting go of our own inner attachments, our own clinging.
That really raises an important question for all of us, doesn't it? For you listening, this isn't just about getting into a dream hall. It's about realizing that whether it's in a dream or in our waking reality, the moment we truly let go of clinging, the door to liberation just opens. It's about recognizing the freedom that's already here, inherently ours, if we just stop grasping for something else. Okay, so just to recap briefly, we've journeyed through these three key interconnected practices for your dream life. First, dream awareness. That's what sprouts the seed of wisdom, showing you directly that all phenomena are mind-made. Second, dream compassion. This accumulates real merit, even in an illusory realm, by consciously choosing kindness and altruism. And third, dream non-attachment. This leads you to the true ground of liberation, allowing you to directly experience the emptiness, the freedom of all things. Together they form this complete and apparently incredibly efficient inner path for spiritual growth, transforming that third of your life you spend asleep.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, what's truly remarkable, I think, is just how accessible this practice is. It requires absolutely no external conditions, zero. You don't need fancy equipment. You don't need to go on a silent retreat. You don't even need a specific teacher physically present. All you need is a bed, basically, and a willing heart. A genuine intention. It really challenges us, Tana, to see those 8 or so hours of sleep not as wasted time, not as a blank space, but as this secret garden, this potent training ground for the mind that the Bodhisattvas have revealed. It's available to every single one of us tonight.
And the really beautiful part, I think, is that the benefits, the fruits of this dream practice, they don't just stay locked away in your sleep. They spill over naturally into your waking life in really profound ways. You start to notice maybe an increased emotional sensitivity. You become more aware of your own feelings, the subtle shifts, and those of others too. You might find yourself cultivating a more natural, effortless compassion towards people around you, treating everyone with a bit more kindness, a bit more understanding, and you develop greater equanimity, more balance in facing life's ups and downs, its gains and losses, because you've experienced firsthand the illusory, impermanent nature of things.
Which brings us to a final, maybe even provocative thought. If dreams are these vivid, immersive illusions, right? They feel totally real until you wake up within them. Then isn't our seemingly solid waking reality potentially just a grander, longer, and perhaps even more deceptive dream? The ultimate insight here, according to the sources we explored, is that true awakening isn't just about having lucid dreams or understanding concepts intellectually. It's about fully waking up from this great dream of life itself. In dream practice, it's presented as the most direct, the most potent preparation for that ultimate liberation. It trains you, fundamentally, to tell the difference between illusion and reality at the deepest possible level.
So how about this? An invitation. Tonight, when you go to bed, maybe begin. Try turning your sleep into your practice mat. Before you close your eyes, just take a quiet moment. Silently make a vow, a simple intention. May I awaken in my dreams tonight. May I be aware. May I be at peace. Extend that blessing to yourself. And maybe extend it to everyone else who's seeking clarity, seeking freedom, caught in the cycle of existence. May your night be filled with good dreams. And may you awaken within them, transforming your sleep to a journey of profound awakening.